In this episode, we're going to talk about the confirmed bug fixes and updates to Medal of Honor Warfighter full release. Plus, we're going to talk about a little bit of information they released in a recent interview about their plans for the game. How is it going, everybody? Scott the MassNERDerer, and like I said, today we're going to be talking about the changes that Danger Close has said they're going to be working on from feedback in Medal of Honor Warfighter beta. So it's going to be hard to take this, most of these games are like 15 minutes, take it down to a hopefully much shorter video, but I'll probably figure it out. I'm probably going to have to edit the gameplay after I make the commentary, so I'm not going to be talking about the game, but let's jump right into these updates and bug fixes. First thing we're going to talk about is the spawns. So we know during the beta, spawns are something they already worked on. They tried to fix them for us, improve them, and I think it worked. Well, they're not done. Fallback spawn. Hopefully if you played it, not hopefully, but if you played it, you probably saw when you do your fallback spawn, sometimes you would spawn right in front of or right behind an enemy, and that was pretty annoying. So they said they have multiple improvements to sort of lower the odds of that happening. So hopefully some sensors that's going to pick up an enemy's here, put you somewhere else to make the game a little bit more fair. There's another spawn issue I think we were dealing with. I know it happened a lot, and there's some videos on YouTube that happen pretty bad, where you get a Blackhawk, your team's doing well, but then the enemy team just spawn camps the Blackhawk, and they get you as you're coming down the rope. They just light you up. Well, now this is a controversial, in my eyes, a controversial fix. I'd love to hear your opinion, but what they're going to do is when enemies are near your Blackhawk, they're going to show up on the mini-map, so that it alleviates the spawn camping. To me, this is risky because it almost seems too strong. I mean, do they show up on the minimap just for you spawning in on the Blackhawk or for your whole team? Because think about it, the Blackhawks are usually near objectives, alright? So what if the enemies are just defending their objective? They're not trying to spawn camp you, they're not even shooting at you when you come down the Blackhawk. But now they're all on the minimap, so your team who spawns anywhere is just going to be able to see them all and light them all up. That seems pretty powerful, so I don't know if maybe they're fixing this too far. But we don't know more facts, we don't really know the specifics of how it's going to work, but that one scares me a little bit. Love to hear what you guys think. I mean, if it's just you spawning in, or it's a pretty small radius, or I don't know, then I'm okay with it. I don't think it's too powerful, because it does need to be fixed, and I don't have a better solution, so this might be the only option, but it seems a little strong. So there are a few other things they're going to be working on as well, though. Weapon tuning. This is pretty nice. I honestly don't have many problems with balance of the game. I found it pretty balanced. But they're going to be tuning up some of the weapons. This one's a big one. A lot of people have been tweeting trying to find out, well, what are the weapon tunes? What are you changing? They haven't gave us any specifics, but they're going to be changing some weapons. And within that weapon tuning, they're also going to be tuning the classes. And if you had to pick two classes that were the easiest to use maybe in the beta, I would say Spec Ops and Demolition. Like I said, I think it's balanced. I don't think they were overpowered. I really don't. The Spec Ops, yeah, he's great close range, but he really struggles long range. And then you take Demolition, man, when he puts up his blast shield, he's slow as heck. So I'm okay with it. You engage him from a distance, you're going to win that fight. But they're going to be working on them. So they're going to be tuning those abilities down a little bit, which I think, don't do it too much. We struggle with that in some other games where they're just constantly trying to go back and forth. But it'll be nice to just adjust them a little bit. Another thing people complain about, and given this is console, the beta was console, but they're changing sensitivity. So for you guys on PC, some of you were worried, well, is the sensitivity going to be nice on my PC? Well, they said they're going to be adjusting this sensitivity to make it a little bit more precise. So for us on console, great, it's going to be more precise. For you guys on PC, I hope that means you guys really don't need to worry. You're going to be able to get that mouse, and you're going to have really good control over it. Now, the next one I want to talk about is something, again, this one I don't know about. I'm sort of confused by it. They titled it Jammer Clipping, and we know what the jammer is, right? You get a jammer, it's your first unlock there, and you can put the jammer down and block their radar. Well, what they said specifically is clearance is now required before this ability can be activated in order to prevent pushing through collision. It's not an ability, right? There's no ability that's a jammer as far as I know. It's a score chain. So this one's confusing. I don't really know what they mean. I never struggled putting the jammer down. I never clipped through walls when I dropped it. Maybe it clipped through walls, so I'm thinking all they're saying is it's probably a visual effect that I didn't notice much, but you just have to make sure you have the clearance before you put it down. Maybe people were putting it in spots that were too small, and it was sort of unfair, maybe hard to shoot and destroy. I don't know, I've tweeted that at them like 5 times, and they're usually pretty good response. Medal of Honor is when I tweet them, and they didn't get back to me on this one, and I've asked a few other people. So we don't know there. What's your opinion, guys? What do you think of that one? The other few other things I think are great fixes. So the kill feed delay, when you're playing that game, the kill feed is like 3 minutes behind. It's so delayed, and they're speeding that up, so it's going to be closer to real time, which, you know, it's nice to have it slow so you really get time to read it all, but it's also sort of ridiculous, you know, when it's like, oh, I got killed by this? No, I haven't, not in like 3 minutes, so it was a funny one. The menus, especially in-game, pretty difficult, right? So they're going to streamline it. When you in-game and you want to switch your gun, they're going to make it, and they haven't gave us details. I don't have any screenshots to show you. I wish I did. They're going to make it easier, though, for you to make quick weapon changes, easier navigation. And, you know, I think a lot of people love all these options they're giving us, but make me get to them a little quicker, especially in-game, is great. But when you're out of game, you want to be able to adjust that too, right? Well, the other fix is sometimes you would be out of game, and you'd go to your gun customization, you'd hop in the game and it wouldn't save. So I want in-game, quick, make it quick, but when I'm out of game, I want all those options still, you know, give me all that ability. And they're saying, well, you're going to keep that, and now it's going to save into game. So if you had an issue with that, that's great. And the last fix they really talk about is stability. I only played the beta like 10 hours, but I probably only got kicked 2 or 3 times. I mean, not too bad, but they're fixing it, and that's great, because stability for a game is important, and that is something they're going to be fixing. So that right there is all of our confirmed updates and bug fixes. But don't leave yet, because MP First actually got an interview with Kevin O'Leary. He works for EA as the global product manager, so he's not with Danger Close, but he did an interview, and there's a few things here I want to talk about that worry me. You know, we talked about some of the good fixes, and one that worried me, but there's a few other things that got me a little nervous, and I'd love to hear your opinions on them very quickly. So one of the big things I got here, there's about 3 questions here. One of the questions MP First asked is, what has been the most interesting pieces of feedback so far, good or bad? And the responses he gives me just feels like a big disconnect. So what he's saying here is, we haven't dug into the hardcore details yet. We're focusing more on, in quotes, are they liking it or are they not? So I'm liking it, I'm not. And that's just sort of, wait a minute. We have a beta in 2 weeks, so who knows if it's a beta or a demo, but you're not paying attention to the hardcore details of our feedback. You just want to see if we like it or don't like it. I mean, great, you should know if we like your game or don't like your game, but you need to start looking at the details, you know? So that was a little worrisome right there. So as we go down this interview, which is linked in the description, by the way, if you'd like to read all of it, the next thing that really worries me here is MP First asks, at the moment, what are your top priorities when it comes to improvements and feedback gathered from the beta? And O'Leary comes back to say that I think communication with the players is something we're working on, giving you better feedback from the game, like what's happening on screen. Support actions? Did you get them? What do they do? Where's your fire team buddy? So, wait a minute. Out of your feedback from the beta, what you got is we want better on-screen communication. I've never heard anyone complain about that. I mean, the score change when we unlock them, they're right up on the screen right there. What do they do? I mean, I would like to know that in the menu or something, but not on screen. That question, I read that, and honestly, it got me really nervous, because I seem to think there's just this huge disconnect between the people making our game. Remember, this isn't Danger Close, it is EA, so I would love to hear from Danger Close, but there's a huge disconnect between making the game and what they're fixing. So there's only one more question I want to address from this interview that, again, is sort of along the same line. But MP First asked, you know, you guys coming up with a deadline, what are your overall feelings in the studio? And what O'Leary says is, don't worry, it's not like we're done after the game releases or we're going on vacation. We have Zero Dark 30 map pack to work on. So wait a minute, we have a game that is good, it's fun, I really enjoyed it, but it's definitely not perfect. It's definitely a lot of things to work on, and you're telling me already you're working on the DLC. You know, and I think we've seen this time and time again in other games, is that they release a game, they start working on DLC, giving us map packs so they can make money, rather than focusing on the fact that your game can be improved. And like I said, you know, the fixes that we're actually getting are good, and I think that shows that Danger Close is listening. But if this EA guy, you know, Kevin O'Leary, really does represent what's going on, it really scares me, because there was no talk about any other big fixes. And the big thing I'm worried about, the big issue here, is fire teams, you know. When you join a fire team in the beginning, I want to be with my fire team in game. Or how about when I'm in game and I join with a fire team with a buddy, you split us both up, you make us both have no fire team buddy, and then throughout the entire game we don't get a buddy. You know, we can't change it in game, we can't do anything. I play multiplayer games to multiplayer, to play with my friends. You know, that's why I do it. And if you don't let me do that, that's a big deal breaker, and especially after we had to deal with that for so long on Battlefield 3. You know, hey, let's make a squad, because that's what they promote so much. I made a squad of 4, I joined the game, you split us up, we're on different teams, it doesn't work. And again, you know, these are games that are awesome, but this is sort of a deal breaker. It's sort of a big deal to me, and I'm worried about that. Out of everything, that's my biggest worry. I want to be able to play with my friends. But these fixes that are coming, they've definitely made improvements from the beta. I think the game is going to be a blast. I plan to get it. I plan to pre-order it, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I'd really love to hear from you guys. What did you like of all of this? You know, what changes did you like? What did you not like? What about these interview questions? What are you thinking there? And please stay tuned to this channel, because soon I'll talk about this week about the pre-order bonuses, because I haven't pre-ordered yet. I'm going to look through, find all the different bonuses we can get, and tell you what you can get from each one, just in case maybe you've been waiting for the pre-order as well. Alright everyone, happy gaming.